Today we're going to break down an ancient, really powerful vision of hope. It was written in a world that was basically hanging on by a thread, and it comes from chapter 11 of the book of Isaiah.
So let's just start right here, because this one sentence really drives the whole chapter. The image is pretty stark. I mean, picture a tree that's been completely chopped down. All that's left is a dead-looking stump. It's a picture of absolute devastation. But then somehow, from that stump, from the roots you can't even see, a tiny new shoot, a new branch, starts to grow. It's this wild promise of life coming from what looks like certain death.
And this contrast really sets up the whole drama of the vision. On one side, you have the Assyrian Empire, this giant, destructive axe, just clear-cutting entire nations, total judgment. And on the other side, you have this quiet, stubborn little image of a single stump that promises new life. It's literally the end of everything versus a brand new beginning.
Okay, so to really get this, we have to understand the context. This brings us to our first section, a stump of hope. See, this vision wasn't written in some peaceful, quiet time. It comes straight out of the Assyrian crisis around 700 BC, a moment when the kingdom of Judah was staring down what looked like complete annihilation.
So, what's this stump of Jesse all about? Well, Jesse was the father of the famous King David, and the stump is a symbol for David's entire royal family line. By this point in history, that dynasty looked totally finished. It had been chopped down by political failures, invasions, and what the prophets saw as God's judgment. For all intents and purposes, it was over, done.
But right when you think it's all over, the vision just flips the script. This moves us into our second section, which is all about a new kind of leader, the Spirit-filled ruler. The prophecy says a new king is going to come from this seemingly dead family line.
So what makes this guy so different? Well, his power doesn't come from an army or from money. It comes from what the text calls the sevenfold Spirit. And look at these pairs. It's not just wisdom, it's the understanding of how to use it. It's not just having good plans, it's having the might to actually make them happen. He has this deep knowledge of God, but it's perfectly balanced by a reverence, a fear of God. It's a picture of a perfect, divinely gifted character.
So what does that look like in the real world? Well, this ruler's judgment is nothing like a typical human leader's. He won't make decisions based on what he sees or what he hears, all the surface-level stuff where we get biased and deceived. Instead, his decisions come from this perfect divine insight. He sees the truth of things every single time.
And this leadership style completely flips the world's power structures upside down. He actually stands up for the poor and the needy. He makes fair decisions for the humble. And get this, his weapon isn't a sword, it's the rod of his mouth. His authority, his power, flows from his words, from truth. He's basically armored in integrity.
Now, a leader this radical doesn't just change politics, he changes reality itself. And that brings us to section 3, the peaceable kingdom. The vision zooms out from the ruler to the world he's going to create.
And wow, what a world it is! The vision builds through these stunning, almost unbelievable images that just upend the natural order. It kicks off with this iconic picture. The wolf will live with the lamb. The most basic law of the wild, eat or be eaten, it's just suspended. And the poetry keeps building. To show you this isn't a fluke, the leopard will lie down with the goat, not as predator and prey, but like they're just hanging out. The constant fear and violence that defines so much of life is just gone. The transformation goes even deeper, right to the core of instinct. The lion, the king of predators, stops killing for food and starts eating straw like an ox. It's not just a behavior change, its entire nature is being rewritten.
And here it is, the climax of this incredible picture. The world becomes so safe, so completely without any threat, that a little child, the most vulnerable person imaginable, is put in charge of all these once ferocious animals. It's just a perfect image of a world turned right side up.
So this all sounds beautiful, but let's be honest, it sounds completely impossible, right? So what on earth could make this kind of radical peace a reality?
And here's the answer, and it's so profound. This peace doesn't come from new laws or a bigger police force. It's a peace that just naturally flows from a world that is completely saturated with knowing God. When everything and everyone truly knows their Creator, violence and destruction just become impossible. Okay, so we've got a new ruler and a transformed creation, but the vision isn't done. It gets even bigger. It goes global, which brings us to section 4. A global gathering.
So this ruler, this root of Jesse, becomes what the text calls a banner. What's that? Well, in the ancient world, a banner was a signal on a high hill, a rallying point. But this ruler becomes a rallying point not for war, but for unity. And it's not just for his own people, it's for all the nations of the world, drawing all of humanity together.
And when Isaiah says global, he really means it. He starts listing all these nations: Assyria, Egypt, Cush, Babylonia, basically the whole known world at the time. The promise is for this great second Exodus, this massive homecoming for scattered people from every corner of the earth.
The language here is just so powerful. You got to remember, the first Exodus from Egypt was the defining story of rescue for Israel. Now, the text says God is going to make a highway for these people, just like he parted the Red Sea. It's a vision of a new, greater, and way more inclusive act of deliverance, and this time, it's for everybody.
So, let's just take a breath. We've gone from a dead stump all the way to a healed world. To wrap up, let's ask why this vision has captivated people for thousands of years. This is Section 5, Why This Vision Endures.
So if you boil it all down, what are the big takeaways? First, that hope can literally grow out of rock bottom. Second, that true leadership isn't just human skill, it's a gift from God. Third, that God's kind of justice always prioritizes the vulnerable. Fourth, that this isn't just about people, it's about healing the whole cosmos. And finally, that this huge vision of hope has always been for everybody, from every nation.
Which leaves us with a question that feels like it could have been written this morning. In our own world, a world that can feel pretty divided and broken, where do we find our own stump of hope? What does it look like for new life to spring out of something that seems completely finished? That right there is the enduring challenge and the incredible promise of Isaiah 11.